Okay, so our agenda today, we've just finished introductions. We are going to go through a few new features. So a show and tell today on our new and improved LTI plugin. So Thomas will lead us through that. A quick recap from Steele on the Shared Network plugin that is available starting this next month. And then update some work we've done on updating translations. Steele will share with us about that. And then I will speak for a couple of minutes about an update on Pressbooks Results and our H5P LMS grade passback feature. And then we will have a few things at the end, upcoming events, and then a community roundtable to hear about interesting projects that you may be involved in. So with that in mind, we have a new and improved LTI plugin available. I know we've been sharing that this would be coming, and so this past few weeks we've been starting to implement that and get that out to a number of our customers. I will note that what this is, if you already have LTI that's installed, this is kind of taking out the old wiring and popping in the new wiring. So it's something that happens behind the scenes. And for folks who haven't yet installed LTI, it is something that is a very quick, rapid process. So Thomas, do you want to pick up here? Do you want me to do the quick preview or kind of here's what it is, or do you want to go ahead and speak to this?
I think I can summarize from here. The new LTI plugin, it's I guess what's most notable about it is that it makes it much easier to bring in content from Pressbooks than before. And that I'd like to show here. Another thing is that installing the plugin is also much easier and more streamlined than before. At this point, I'll just show how simple it is to install if you're installing it for the first time. Here I am as an admin of this Pressbooks network. If I go to integrations and LTI 1.3 platforms, these are the current LTI connections I have. There's one for Canvas, Brightspace, Blackboard, but there isn't yet one for Moodle. So that I'll show how I would go about setting that up. In Moodle over here, I'm going to go to plugins, manage tools, and then there's this field with a URL. From this LTI platforms page, I copy this dynamic registration URL here and paste that in here and press add LTI advantage. And now this has been registered. So now if I go over back here and refresh the page, this has been added, and all of these fields, which previously had to be manually filled out, are automatically populated here. Back in Moodle, I press activate. I also have to activate from Pressbooks. And so now for this Moodle instance, anyone can bring in material from the Pressbooks network, and it's all set to go. So that's the process for Moodle, for Brightspace, and Blackboard. For Canvas, there is a slightly different process right now because at the time we developed this, Canvas didn't actually have the dynamic registration option, but they've since introduced that, so we're right now adding that option. But yeah, I think that basically covers the install bit. When it comes to using the LMS, what's now available in this LTI plugin is something called deep linking, which can be used to bring in material from your Pressbooks network. So this is something I can show or someone else can show.
Okay, I'll go, Thomas.
Okay. Which LMS do you want to use? Canvas or D2L or?
Yeah, let's use Canvas. We saw Moodle
Canvas?
already. I'm ready for Canvas.
Okay. All right, great.
Thanks. I've just logged in. Would you like me to share my screen?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. So here I am in the Canvas dashboard, and I'm going to go to the course that you shared with me. So I'm now inside of a Canvas course.
So this is a completely blank course, a new one. And if you go ahead in the top right, the plus module button,
I'll call it week 1 readings.
now if you go to the plus sign in the title there, and under add, open the drop-down menu. Oh yeah, there we go. So yeah, external tool is the one to use. And the one to use is the one for LTI staging, and the title is Pressbooks Content Selector. There it is.
So I click it.
And what this does is it pulls up every book that you are an admin of or an editor of on the Pressbooks network that you work in. And you can select the entire book or any chapters from it to pull into your course.
Can I select them from more than one book at a time?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to pick these 2 chapters from the demo book and this chapter from new book. And I will click select content. Oh, wow. Okay.
And
now LTI links that I can launch from my course.
Yeah. But yeah, this deep linking method, it's generally a lot quicker than the common cartridge export and then import approach, which the old LTI plugin relied on. We still do support common cartridge export and import, and we'd be able to show that as well. We've actually made that a bit simpler because now we have just a single common cartridge export format for every LMS, whereas in the past there was a Blackboard specific one, a Moodle specific one, and so on. But deep linking, which is automatically included in newly installed LTI plugins now, kind of recommended quicker approach for instructors bringing in material from their books.
I know a lot of organizations are very, there's a lot of kind of guidance and direction to try and create holistic learning experiences, I guess seamless learning experiences inside the learning management system, as opposed to sending out to learning materials that live elsewhere. That's not the case everywhere, but certainly Pressbooks wants to be a great tool and support really robust integration for instructors and for institutions where that seamless LMS-centric experience is a priority. If you're not sure what's going on with LTI integration in your institution, if this is a new thing to you, like Jen, you're in, kind of in the new box, your account manager can be very helpful for you, as can premium support. Thomas and Mitch, our support specialists, are here and are happy to assist with that as well. For folks that need to have LTI, kind of the IT approvals that often are part of getting LTI installed and going through your institutional processes. We can support you with that as well. Christopher often is the not always willing recipient, but always amenable recipient for kind of IT review, security review, those kinds of things. And so was it HEPVAT? Is that maybe your least favorite word? Does that make you twitch? Or HECVAT, I guess that's the one. Anyway, but we are happy to help with those things and eager to make sure that you're getting the value that you need from this type of capability. All right, why don't we then move on to the next topic?
So some of you were just there recently, but the other thing that's happened is our development team released a new plugin for Pressbooks Shared Networks. And we want to say huge thank you to Siri and the folks at eCampus Ontario who helped shape and sponsor the development of this work. This is designed for consortial networks or networks that are shared by multiple institutions. It allows, if you are a network manager there, you can now create institutions, this concept of institution on your network. You can add institutional managers, which is a role that's like a network manager, but at a smaller scale, only for that institution. And you can assign books and users on your larger network to that institution so that they can be jointly managed by the institutional managers. We think this is going to be really helpful to help people on large networks kind of understand what's happening and where it's happening, and will save a lot of time because admins can now share appropriate levels of access and support with champions at individual institutions. So eCampus Ontario is obviously going to be one of the first big early users. They're doing a lot of really interesting testing with this right now. But other people, like in Edda's situation and other kind of large consortium situations, we think this will be a really nice option to help you grow and do things at scale more effectively. In terms of who can get this, if you are a consortial or system client and you're on a tiered or unlimited plan, you can get it. It's available now. If you are a consortial network on a legacy plan or you don't have premium buy-ins, there may be additional fees. We'll need to negotiate how that becomes available and under what conditions. It's delivered through a plugin that we can activate relatively easily. Our support team and myself are available to train you and get you started in using this. There is nice documentation for it that Thomas has written. There is a webinar on our YouTube channel that kind of walks through this in great detail, and you can see the features and how it's beneficial. If you have questions about it, contact your account manager or contact us. If you want to know where the webinar video is, I will drop the link into the chat and you can watch it at your leisure. The other thing I wanted to mention is we along with this and in conjunction with this, we've made some improvements to how translations work in and for Pressbooks. And I also wanted to say thank eCampus Ontario and CIRI in particular. As a bilingual institution, they care a lot about the experience of users in both English and in French. Pressbooks is headquartered in Montreal, a very bilingual city. And so Pressbooks, the software itself, can be localized, and we support crowdsourced translations for Pressbooks and many of our plugins. We use a tool called Transifex to manage the translation interface, and we have a new process now which will make translations submitted by the user community and improvements to existing translations available faster. If you are interested in contributing translations, we would love to have that. We always want more languages and more people around the world to be able to use Pressbooks in their language. So there's a link here. The Transifex interface kind of looks like this. You can come and find the Pressbooks project. If you wanted to contribute, let's say you knew Russian or Latvian, we don't have full coverage in those languages. And so you could come to this page and click join this project. It would ask you, you'd create an account or sign in, and it would ask you what languages you wanted to contribute translations in. And it's a relatively easy process where you see a target string and provide the language translation. And people can do that without having to know anything about code. All you need to know is about languages, and then you can help make Pressbooks available in more languages around the world. We also wanted to highlight the fact, and many of you know this, but some of you don't, that you can publish books in many, 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 many different languages, including, I believe it's now 25 or so languages that don't use Latin alphabets, that use other character forms. And there is a guide chapter about how you can better support multilingual publications or publications in languages other than English or French or the Romance languages. So that was the thing I wanted to highlight there. I'll pass it on to whoever's next.
Thank you. I am next. Any questions about translations or about the shared network work before we move on? Time to chat about Pressbooks Results, which is our solution that we have delivered around delivering grade passback into the learning management system for graded H5P activities. So what is this? This is a capability where instructors and creators are building H5P interactive learning activities like the ones you see here. They want those placed inside inline and other Pressbooks content so that students can go through the materials and kind of read or engage with the learning material, and then they can do knowledge check activities. They can do these interactive activities that are helping them build their skills and test their knowledge and providing feedback about their learning progress. And then the ability to send a grade to the learning management system gradebook to give the student credit when they participate in those activities. So we started delivering Pressbooks Results. It's been out for several, I guess, about 3 years now. We've been through a couple of different rounds of pilot, and so we have folks who have been using it. Those who have used it and like it have said it's wonderful to know who is doing the reading or not. It's wonderful to create a higher degree of engagement in the learning materials. It's great to provide more insight to instructors to know how to intervene and how to provide help or coaching to individual students, and also to know how the class is struggling. And it works because that learning by doing is far more effective than just reading or watching videos. We know from learning research that having those inline interactive or inline knowledge testing experiences improves the quality of learning and the effectiveness of the learning materials. And also the grading or the grade passback creates a motivation for students to actually use the learning material. So it's those things that are coming together in this capability. So I want to recap where we've been. So we have known that a lot of our clients are very, very interested in this capability. We know that they want better support for interactivity and assessment. We know that many of you want to be able to provide better open alternatives to traditional publishers' courseware, and that automatic grading is a big plus for instructors. It's why they like a lot of the publisher packages. And so all of that adds up to really wanting to be able to deliver this type of grade passback capability in Pressbooks, which are often, whether they're officially OER or not, having this additional capability in Pressbooks can go far to improve that quality of learning and engagement. In the version of the product that we delivered previously, we did encounter some significant blockers. First, we had some technical and usability problems, and during our fall pilot, as we were starting to see higher scale use of that, more of those capabilities surfaced for us. And also, we knew that there was difficulty with the per student pricing model that we had initially introduced. So what did we do about those things? First off, we paused the pilot after last fall's term. There have been some instructors who've continued to use the solution, even like knowing that there were known issues, and they, found workarounds for that and were fine using that, but we felt like it wasn't a good enough experience from a technical or usability perspective to invite a lot of new people. We needed to step back and do some re-architecting and additional technical feasibility and usability work to make sure that it was really a solution ready for prime time. So we've been doing that investigation. Part of that was refactoring the LTI plugin. The grade passback is one piece of the LTI integration that we delivered previously. And we knew that there were some issues there that we needed to improve. And so a lot of that work, not the grade passback piece yet, but the rest of the LTI integration is part of this much superior tool that Thomas just demonstrated for us. And then we've also been doing research work around alternative pricing models. And so where are we now? The good news is that we do have a technical path to deliver and improve Pressbooks results with key usability and reliability issues addressed. And we expect to release this new version of our solution in early August. That would be in time to be able to support fall pilots for instructors who are interested and institutions that are interested in giving this another try. So what is it that we're building for August? So it will be a grade passback feature with a gradable H5P activities that integrates with Canvas, Brightspace, Blackboard, or Moodle. It will provide that ability to embed the H5P activities in line with other Pressbooks content, and to choose which of the activities in a particular chapter or in a particular book would count towards a grade. Initially, we will be supporting the most popular and accessible activity types. We've done our internal research to know which are the gradable activities that Pressbooks customers are using most frequently. And so those are the ones that we will support initially. There's lots of H5P graded activities, some of which are used very rarely. And so because this is a kind of a new build, we're starting with the most popular ones, and then would add support from there. We will be allowing the instructor to choose which grade to record, and initially first grade or best grade are the options they could choose from, and then it will send a correct score to the Learning Management System gradebook when the student attempts that activity. We have some additional things that are more nice to have, so the details of the attempts and student drill down, also the ability to choose between a chapter roll-up score versus an individual activity score, and then providing greater visibility as part of the user experience around which H5P activities are accessible and gradable. We've noted that as a pain point. We've had folks that have started out, doing H5P activities and then find out the ones that they chose are not accessible. And that's actually not a Pressbook issue. That's an H5P activity or an H5P issue that we don't have control over. And so we know that one of the pieces that we want to do, whether it's built into the product or in the way that we kind of train and support people around the product, to create greater visibility there. So any questions about this, what I've shared so far? Okay.
I have a question. This is Donna from
Yes, Donna.
SAS Polytech. We're at a point where we may be adapting our account to a consortial account. I don't think that's news to anybody. So, but I'm just wondering, so in terms of some of these additions, there's different types of accounts. So when we're considering this, we should probably be considering the LTI integration, which should be an enhancement to our current account, I understand. We should also be, considering the results as well and incorporating that. It sounds like I can see the value of that, absolutely. So just about the translations, is that also an account enhancement, or is that just like part of the basic account?
So really good questions. So we're making some adjustments in pricing, model, and packaging, and so we'll talk about that. So the translations are just a standard feature that is built in regardless of your type of account. One of the changes that we're making, and actually I can move on to the next slide. Whoops, here we go. We have done some adjustments to our pricing structure. And so one of the things that is changing is we are building the LTI integration into the baseline platform. And so there will no longer be an extra charge for LTI that in the case of a shared network, that becomes part of the premium buy-in. And so I think previously there was an add-on cost for that, and we're rolling that cost into that. So that's built into we've made some very modest adjustments to the premium buy-in cost, but there's no longer the extra annual LTI fee. It's a much more modest, it's sort of built into the standard premium pricing. And that ends up getting negotiated and defined as part of the shared network contract. And so what that would look like for you if you're moving to as a member of a shared network rather than having your own enterprise network, your account manager, John, can have a chat with you about what that looks like. And but our goal would be for our goal is for that extra LTI cost not to be a barrier. We saw that as a barrier both for the general LTI stuff as well as the ability to use this kind of grade passback. And so building that into our standard platform pricing for anybody that wants to use it is the approach that we've taken. Similarly with Pressbooks Results. And in conversation after conversation, what we kept hearing is that per student pricing model, even though that's a standard approach for courseware type things, to say we're going to charge by the student and charge potentially even passing the cost along to students for grade passback. It's just something that's a model that does not work well at all for our customer base. The ways that Pressbooks is budgeted for, the programs that it supports, that has been very problematic. At the same time, to deliver H5P Learning Management System grade passback does have added support costs on our side. And so we need to figure out what is a more amenable and more community-driven way to support this. and validating that people want it. And so in lots of research and conversations, we know people do want this. It needs to be a pricing model that people can support. And so we are moving away from the per student pricing, and we are introducing a different approach where the Pressbooks Results also becomes a standard feature that's included and priced with just included in the fees for the Pressbooks platform. We are making a fee adjustment with this. So to make it affordable for everyone, we are doing a 6% increase in our platform fees that kind of applies across the board. That will be effective with the next contract renewal, though. So there is time and opportunity to adjust, and anybody that's already locked into a certain contract level, like for a 2-year period, for example, we're not coming to get an interim adjustment. We're just saying, hey, this is something to plan for. And then as usage ramps up, the fee adjustment will depend on usage. And so there's sort of the standard kind of moving everybody up a very low increment to say everybody has access to this. For those who start to see it at higher scale, like over 1,000 to 5,000 students, the tier increase is a little bit higher. For folks that are using it at a large scale, like over 5,000 enrollments per year using it, then there is a higher tier. We don't anticipate folks are going to get to this anytime soon, as we are just barely, kind of implementing and doing the new pilot. But we feel like this is something that's both fair and also provides plenty of visibility and control on the institution side to say, is this valuable? If it's valuable, here's the ways that we see that coming together in a very, I guess, fair and cost-effective way to budget for that. So questions about this?
Okay, thank you, Lauren from Northwestern. So I think that you mentioned this, but I just wanted to confirm the 1,000 enrollments would be per year, right? So,
yes.
Okay, so then we potentially would have a new cohort of students come in every year, and we could still stay at that 6% increase.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not one-time thing. We're looking at what is your annual use looking at over
Okay.
the course of the year. Yep.
Thank you.
And to your point, Lauren, this model also allows you, so first off, it allows folks to try it out and see how it works and be able to plan if it takes off, then, there's that visibility to be able to plan ahead and say, okay, this is something where there is a higher demand. And so what are the ways that we budget for that, as you anticipate where that might be coming, and also what or how to manage that so that you stay within the target that works for your organization. All right, Jamie, I'm glad to hear that you find this more helpful for your budget situation. We know that a lot of folks are excited about being able to try this, and we're just looking for ways to both deliver a really solid product, but also remove barriers, particularly in this audience that we serve. So for those that are interested in getting started and moving this direction, I know that we're right at the top of the hour. So we will be reaching out with more information soon for you to share with instructors. If you have instructors or know that you may have some, now is a good time to start identifying and saying, hey, this is going to be available. Are you interested? For instructors to be identifying and preparing the books that they want to use, including getting make sure the gradable H5P activities are ready. And then in June and July, we will be doing user research and product preview work. We'd love to have instructors or network managers there to kind of be parts of show and tell or be guinea pigs on those activities as we're building to provide feedback, and then also work on migrating to the updated LTI plugin. And then as we come into early August, we'll be going through that process with the fall pilot participants to help get Pressbooks Results configured, doing the training and supporting through the pilot through the fall. So whether that's a start time in August or September or thereafter. So again, we will have information soon for folks. We'll be also reaching out to folks who've already raised their hand and said, we have folks who are interested. We will be reaching out with more information on that, and feel free to reach out proactively if you know already that there are folks that you'd like to get involved. Okay, last couple of things. So we have webinars and events coming up. We will be doing a panel with Purva is one of our panelists at the OTESA conference in mid-June. We've got our Getting Started in Advanced Pressbooks Publishing webinars. Those, as a reminder, are end users are welcome. So if you have instructors, if you have instructional designers, folks interested in those training webinars, they are welcome to attend those. We record them and send out the recordings to everyone who's registered. So make sure you're using that as a resource. And then also I don't know if we have any, I don't think we have Maryland people, but on this particular call, but we will also be at the Maryland Online Leadership Institute meeting in at the end of June, doing some sessions there. So, okay, if there's anything that you really want to share, feel free to stay on for a minute. I'm happy to stay on, or shoot us a note. Jen is always looking for interesting projects to highlight in our network manager newsletter. And I think that's it.